Oh, the clocks are ticking. Oh, even just thinking of it gives me such a nightmare. Oh. Hello guys, it's Stormboy13. Oh, the clock ticks always give me nightmares. I'm only kidding, guys. But anyways, I've got some news to mention. Now, I know it's not much weather related, but I thought I wanted to just point out the video of potential clock changes, whether it could be next year or could be in several years' time, or may not even happen at all. Recently, well, as we know, this was filmed Thursday, 1st November. Less than a week ago, the clocks have changed back 1 hour, which, you know, when British summertime has ended. There has been, well, we are leaving the EU referendum officially in March next year. However, there's also been a lot of debate on whether we should be on British summertime or British standard time all year round, as the government has planned to scrap the changing of the clocks in the foreseeable future. I'll mention in more detail why. So here's what I know so far. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker unveiled plans to stop changing Europe's clocks from next year, following millions of people responding to a survey and calling for the decades-long practice to end. However, the popularity of the change has been questioned, as the 4.6 million people who responded to the Brussels consultation were less than 1% of all European Union citizens, and 85% of the replies came from only 3 countries. So, Norbert Hofer, Transport Minister of Austria, the country currently holding the 6-month presidency of the EU, poured cold water over the proposals by insisting next year was too soon for the majority of the bloc's members to make the changes. Speaking to reporters ahead of a meeting of fellow transport ministers in the capital of Tghere on Monday, just over 24 hours after the clocks went back an hour for winter, he said, "We will need to find a compromise, as some countries, actually most, have reservations about changing the system next year." Mr. Hofer said that several countries have highlighted several technical issues that must be resolved, adding the aviation industry has made it clear it needs at least 18 months to prepare for any changes. The European Commission wants each EU government to decide by April which time zone it wants to be permanently in. They have a choice in October 2019 whether they want to remain in summertime all year round, or turn the clocks back a final time to permanent winter time. Referring to possible clock changes, Mr. Hofer said, "It has not brought us anything. It was an idea from the 1970s, the time of the oil crisis, and now is the time to end this measure." The majority of countries support this goal. There are some countries that are sceptical. Danish Transport Minister Orberg Olsen added to his Austrian counterpart's doubts by claiming there needs to be a full public debate on the issue. This has yet to take place in Denmark, meaning implement any clock changes next year would be too early. Even in countries that are deciding the changes, there are arguments brewing over whether to pick summer or winter time. Estonian Minister for Economic Affairs and Infrastructure, Gordon Simpson, said there would be heated debate over which one time zone would be chosen. This comes just over a week after the House of Lords Committee warned many Eurocrats are overreaching their powers by proposing to stop EU countries changing their clocks twice a year. It said the EU was going beyond its remit and failing to observe the core principle of subsidiarity, which states that action should be taken at Brussels level only when absolutely necessary, because the aims cannot be achieved by individual member states. Committee Chairman Law Whitty said the European Commission proposal to end seasonal time changes goes beyond its remit and is not in compliance with the principle of subsidiarity. Committee member Lord Andrew Robertson, a former Conservative MP and Brexiter, said this sort of tidy-mind bureaucratic action from the EU, interfering in things that have nothing to do with it, is why so many of us voted to leave. All of us on the committee look at the view that in the EU's wildest dreams has got nothing to do with the EU. It is up to us. There is one country that has already ditched its clocks: Morocco. So Morocco has ditched a time change, and Europe could soon follow. Morocco has decided to stop changing its clocks at least twice a year in a move that could soon be replicated in Europe. Winter is obviously on its way, but Morocco has already decided to stop marking the changing of the seasons by turning back its clocks. So as millions of people around the world last week prepared for an extra hour's sleep last weekend, or at least one more episode of your current Netflix series of choice, the North African nation has instead abandoned the concept of clock changes and chosen to stick to summertime all year round. The Moroccan government said the decision to stay on GMT +1 would save an extra hour of natural light and reduce electricity consumption. It's a move that could be soon replicated in plenty of other countries, with the EU consulting on a proposal to abandon the practice from 2019. Since 2002, the twice-yearly time change has been dedicated by an EU directive, with a harmonised continental clock seen as beneficial to cross-border businesses and transport links. But a vote in the European Parliament last year will see the arrangement be reconsidered and allow member states to opt out, much as non-EU countries like Russia, Turkey and Iceland already have. It is a simple enough process, with North Korea managing to move its clocks forward to match the South just 1 week after leader Kim Jong-un announced his intention to do it earlier this year. There is no sign of any such move being made in the UK still, even after Brexit, despite road safety charity Brake urging the government to alter the time-honoured tradition to aid motorists. Rather than abandon the concept, however, Brake wants to move the clocks forward for the entire year, making winter 1 hour ahead of GMT and summer 2 hours ahead. The renewed appeal came after new research by the RAC Foundation found that the annual October clock change heralds 20 extra road crashes per day in which someone is injured. So, analyses of police data from the past 6 years showed that in the 2 weeks after the clocks go back, there are an average of 278 more personal injury collisions than in the previous 2 weeks. Some 75% of those extra collisions take place in the afternoons, which quickly become darker after the change. So less sunlight, coupled with typically harsher weather conditions, makes roads busier and driving more challenging and more dangerous, the research has said. The AA has issued a similar seasonal warning highlighting that thousands of cars with deflective lights will present a greater hazard once the clocks change. Department for Transport figures showed the number of people injured in crashes on UK roads last year, when faulty lights were a contributing factor, reached a 3-year high of 191. So could our country ditch the clock changes in a few years' time, or even from next year? We're going to have to wait and see. The Brexit will, well, may have left the EU, but does that mean we're going to ditch the clock changes? I have no idea, but possibly that could be a possible story in the future to come. That's all I've got to deliver for you. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video, and also feel free to put your comments on your opinion. Should the clocks change back, and if it does, which would you prefer? British Standard Time, which is winter time all year round, or British summertime all year round? Leave your comments below, guys, and yep, I'll keep you updated for any more videos. Like, comment, subscribe. Storm's now out.